Hello, everyone. This is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of I the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful Rabbit Hole, King Dia, Lauren Frey, Grim Clover, Internet Bloodsport, City of Steel, and the upcoming Jaw of the Dragon. And who is ready for another fun edition of Rekieta Retardation? Or I don't even know what I should, whether I should like change the name if that's a bit too crass. I have been trying to move away from that kind of extreme language, just like I've spent the past year or so not really talking about Rekieta, not really going deeper into the lore and like his various misdeeds over the past couple of years. Like I haven't talked extensively about him, and the reason for that is simple because I don't want to be a drama channel. It's not something I want to fixate on. It's not something that I really want to spend a lot of time doing. It's something I've distanced myself from. However, I've still been very openly opposed to what Rekieta is doing. I've been very open about that, but it is necessary, I think, to continue like condemning these kind of grifters, condemning these kind of people, and like keep you know things simple and easy to understand. I think people are beginning to wake up to the fact that like Rekieta doesn't have a lot of legal prowess. He doesn't not have a lot of experience. He doesn't have a lot of ability to cover the stuff he's talking about. Like it's true that he technically does have a law license, but that really doesn't mean much considering like the lack of usage it gets and considering like how obviously fraudulent a lot of his advice has been over the past couple of years. People are starting to pick up on that, especially after like the Vic case, but it seems like it doesn't matter. It seems like Rekieta has gotten off scot free, or at least there isn't going to be like serious there isn't going to be serious repercussions for what he's done during the Vic case. Now that might not be that we might see some like changes going forward, but unfortunately the way it looks right now is that Rekieta just kind of has gotten away scot free and doesn't really isn't going to suffer repercussions for essentially fucking Vic Mignogna over. He used the case to build up his YouTube channel. He didn't steal the money. That's something I don't think a lot of people realize is that Rekieta has made more on the channel than the Kickstarter itself actually made. So by being Vic Mignogna's PR guy, by hyping up the anime industry, by like grifting harder than I think anyone has ever grifted before, he's built this entire alternative kind of legal network. The issue being is that people are supporting him due to his political allegiances on like the people he's supporting rather than like his actual contributions to to law and like actual legal issues. Essentially, people are supporting him or are against him based on politics. It's a political issue first and foremost. Like most people who are on Vic Mignogna's side are not willing to criticize Rekieta because they don't want to. Well, first of all, they don't want to give they don't want to like potentially mess up like Mignogna's legal proceedings, but uh, they also want to promote their own channels and their own content and get people watching their show. Like infighting in a lot of cases doesn't really seem to lead to much, which is another reason why I don't really like want to call I don't really want to take the time to call out like every single channel in this sphere who grifts or does something they shouldn't be doing. It's not it should be up to the audience to kind of regulate this stuff and call it out and cause controversy on their own merits. Like it shouldn't be something drummed up between creators. But it's but with the end of the Vic case, has kind of seen we've kind of seen a transition when it comes to Rekieta's coverage. He's gone from talking about like real serious legal topics, usually, to complaining about like stuff things he clearly doesn't have any the slightest idea about, like anime and issues when it comes to that industry. Typically, he has a bunch of like anti-censorship creators on, like people like Raging Golden Eagle and Hiro Kie, people that I wouldn't trust at all, like people that I have issues with as well. Uh, the thing about Rekieta, and the reason I wanted to make a video is a lot of these alternative topics, stuff that doesn't have anything to do with law, are completely retarded and are completely off base and are completely not at all true, honestly. I do think the big one, and the one I really, really, really wanted to talk about is the OnlyFans thing. I think at this point, I've seen Nick bitch about OnlyFans more than he ever bitched about the Vic Mignogna thing or like any serious legal case because like it keeps coming up every show I see him on where he's making it out like it's like a travesty that like millions of women are like pulling in like millions of dollars on OnlyFans and it's such a weird libertarian kind of it's such a weird libertarian kind of issue, right? Where like Nick will like allegedly tell you that like he believes people will should do what they want and do what they want for do whatever it takes to like get money or whatever. But but in this case, like Nick and Drex will like bitch about OnlyFans over and over and over and again. And they do it so much, you start to realize they clearly kind of misrepresent what the platform actually is and how it realistically kind of plays out for the vast majority of its demographic for people who use it casually, both contributors and fans essentially. Um, these guys will have you believe that like average people are just dumping like thousands of dollars into donating to OnlyFans thoughts, and like it's just it's not accurate to say that. Like OnlyFans, much like every content creator on the internet, there are outliers that are extremely successful and get a lot of attention, like people like Amaranth, people like Pokimane, people like that, like high income earners, people who pull in like millions of dollars through all of their pursuits, not just OnlyFans, but through sponsorship deals, through Twitch streams, through just general content creation, not just like through sex stuff. I believe Pokimane doesn't do sex stuff at all, and I believe a reason for that is because it would go against her image and really like fuck up like her sponsorship deals or stuff like that. I'm not like an expert on this kind of thing or whatever, but like that's kind of my point though, is if you're an OnlyFans contributor who's relying exclusively on sex work to get people to notice your channel, like first of all, you're competing with like a million other people who are doing the same thing. And two, you're going to burn out and like become irrelevant like very quickly or not even like become relevant to begin with, which I imagine is like the vast majority of people on that platform, like people who get into it. Like I can't imagine that most girls are on there are making any money at all. All right. The people you're talking about when it comes to like the high income earners, they are outliers. They are the gaming YouTubers of their time, right? Like the market just hasn't become saturated yet, right? There aren't a million different people doing the same thing you have. Like, and I think the reason OnlyFans is so popular, something I haven't seen Rekieta bring up at all, is the decline in quality of porn, right? The porn industry is more interested in like shoving ridiculous nonsense in your face instead of like just showing like hot chicks getting fucked. I've spoken to people about this. Uh, I've actually done some market research. Like the girls are ugly as fuck. The camera the camera work is bad. It's not erotic at all. It's just stupid bullshit, right? I I don't I honestly can totally see why there is an audience of people who would just rather just pay a girl directly for pornographic content rather than like go through the porn sites because the porn sites are like disgusting. You can't find stuff you're looking for, stuff you would be interested in. Like if I were to go in there and like type in vampire, like what would I get fucking get? Like not what I would be interested in. I can tell you that much because I've tried that shit like as an experiment. Uh, I I but that would be like it's a handful of guys. Well, guys will spend like a handful of bucks to get like specialized content that they personally can get some like a lot of mileage out of, right? Like again, it's like I'd say like on average, it's like what, like $5, right? Like I know girls who do it for free. I've been I know a content creator who does it for free, just for the attention. I I have I have I don't think the vast majority of people are making tons of money off of OnlyFans or content creation in general. But like Rekieta seems to think that like it's like a one-way ticket to success. And that's kind of my problem with it. The reason why he keeps insisting that like, oh man, if you just whore yourself out in the right situation, in the right time and place, oh man, you could be the next Belle Delphine. That's not gonna happen. All right, that's like the equivalent of saying you're gonna be the next big gaming YouTuber or the next big novelist, right? It's just not realistic, right? Like I saw him ranting the other day about how like, oh man, if you were a chick who got into a working class job and then started like recording when you weren't supposed to, and then started like masturbating in front of everyone, you'd be fired, but you'd be able to upload that video to the internet and make like millions. No, that would not happen. It 100% would not happen. Those stories you're always pointing to those OnlyFans girls who like get their houses paid off, like that's OnlyFans marketing material, right? That's how they get new contributors to their site, by telling you, tricking you essentially into thinking that you can become highly successful just by whoring yourself out on the internet. And eventually, most of these girls realize it's not actually true and back out, or don't commit to it at all. Like I have heard stories of people who have considered getting into OnlyFans, but then like uh, or doing like sex stuff online, but then like backed off because it would be risky for their personal lives, for their established careers. Like this idea that like Nick and Drex have, that like, oh man, you can just whore yourself out on the internet, make millions, and get off scot free. It just is not true. Okay, like it does not work out that way ever. Right? Like Pokimane is probably a good example. Like, how pathetic is it that she has to go around and pretend that like she's perpetually single because of her audience, right? Like she can't be honest about like who she is and what she's interested in and what she's like doing with her life. She has to like play a character for her audience, right? uh that's all of these people, like fundamentally, like they're not honest with themselves, they're not honest with their fans, they're not real genuine content creators. None of them are. Like all they're doing, what they're doing is doing it for a paycheck. And it do, I have seen content creators like kind of slowly go downhill, like slowly go insane, in part because of this kind of content, of what they have to do in order to stay relevant, or try to become relevant to begin with. It's kind of absurd to see the links, to see what happens to some of these people. And again, that's another thing that like Rekieta doesn't talk about, is just how quickly these girls fall off the map. Like generally speaking, like I have known girls, like you'll see Drex like talk about how girls can get like, oh man, they have 100,000 subs on YouTube. He doesn't talk about how those subs are only there for the girl when she's cute, and then will immediately just drop off when like she ages. Right? Like he doesn't talk about that. Like the viewer retention for a lot of these channels is poor as fuck. I have seen channels that get like millions of views just go down the shitter in a matter of years. Like because they rely on like a user base from a certain demographic that are there for a certain reason. And then when that dies off, like for whatever reason, not just through sex work, but when that dies off, like the channel has nothing to keep it relevant, essentially. Like in order to keep a YouTube channel relevant, just you have to like have a variety of content that people legitimately want to watch, right? And when it comes to sex stuff, like you will not be able to stay relevant long term. It's not possible. So like I think what's going on with the OnlyFans thing is that like people just aren't aware of like the downsides to the lifestyle, and like what's actually happening. Like much like female social media in general, like these people make their lives look incredible, right? Like, oh man, they're on this boat. They don't tell you that they had to fuck the guy who owns the boat. Like, oh man, we're traveling Europe. They don't have, they don't, they don't tell you that it's using somebody else's money, and that those people are gonna throw them to the curb the instant they're done with them, right? Like they. oh man, look at this awesome meal. I spent like 15 minutes like angling my phone to get the perfect aesthetic camera to get like the ideal amount of likes. So like my profile is out there. My life is so interesting. Like that is the reality of these social media thoughts. They're not living a real life. It's fake. Like all of it is fake. Like if you've been with girls in LA, like I have, you know this. Like you know it's true. And it's just it's weird to me that like Nick doesn't seem to realize this. That he doesn't realize that like yeah, eventually these people are going to have to leave the industry. They are going to have to settle down. They are going to have to get married and have kids. I've seen social media people. It's Blitz ASMR is probably a good example. Like someone who's like extremely liberal, extremely like pro-abortion. Like, oh man, I never want to have kids, man. Yeah, I think she's pregnant right now. Like after some like issues getting pregnant, probably because of some unspecified injection she took. But I it's it's interesting to see like Rekieta rant about this when like he doesn't seem to understand like or it comes off like he's looking for a reason to bitch about this. Like it really does. Like it's on it's pathetic and I just don't I got tired of listening to about it, like hearing about this stuff a long time ago, right? Because much like a lot of other Rekieta topics, like it comes off like an interesting like side topic like to start off with, but then like when you like start learning the specifics on how it's supposed to work, like how it allegedly works, and how like how like the system is set up and like what you can reasonably expect from it. Like you would expect them to like change the topic and move on, but they never really did. It's been like what, like 3 years since they started openly talking about OnlyFans, and they're still like coming up with these insane like hot take opinions regarding it. Like it's no, I don't think social media thoughts are living like the ideal lives. I don't. I really don't. Like, oh man, but they have all these men. They don't like any of those men. Like that's the thing. People, oh, they get all this sex. They don't want to have sex with these men, right? If they're using you for money, they don't want to have sex with you. Like it's like I don't know. I think the thing that really bothers me about this is that like they really try and act like being a whore is like a new novel thing that's never been tried before when like really it's like the oldest profession, like right, they call it that for a reason. Okay, whores have always existed, right? And like it causes problems for the whores in their personal lives, right? Like, I've never told this story before, but like, I once worked with a girl who also had a job as a stripper, right? This was back when like I was working alongside like a bunch of Bernie bros and like hardcore socialists and stuff like that, like the real scum of the earth, right? People who would like call themselves the most oppressed people in America and then like shit on the homeless when they came in for like free drinks or whatever. Like they are like the self-righteous, hypocritical, disgusting motherfuckers who are honestly probably still where they were like 10 years ago, honestly. Like I don't think any of them have like radically changed their lives or improved like I did. So I was working with this girl for a brief period of time, and like she was a stripper on the side. Uh, she also worked at a strip club, and like everybody knew it. And like it's interesting to me how like these extremely sex positive people who are like, oh man, you can't judge other people based on what they do with their bodies, man. It was interesting to me to see how these people who were allegedly super liberal, who were allegedly believe these kind of things, how they treated this girl who we knew was a stripper, right? And it was interesting to see like how she behaved because she was I'm not gonna lie, she was more attractive I think than most of them. But at the same time, you could tell just by interacting with her that she was extremely fucked up. And because I was the only normal person there, she kind of latched on to me for a very short period of time and like wanted me to talk to her and stuff like that. Like I would see her in public and she would like give me this look like come over and please talk to me. Like it really I really got this impression that like she really felt that like if she could form a real relationship with me, I could like salvage her from this lifestyle she had fallen into. All right. Like I got a glimpse of her life, and it was like the most miserable fucking thing in the world, right? Like since then I've been with girls who like went to LA to become singers, and well, in the entertainment industry, and like seeing their lives like kind of crumble. Like I don't know all the specifics, obviously, because you know, I cut ties with these people for good reason, but like just seeing like even shades of this, you can see it in their eyes, you can see it in their face. It's like it's not it's not a desirable lifestyle to do this, right? Like it doesn't work out. Like, oh, but your basic needs are being met, people are taking care of you. They don't care about that. That's not what they want, right? They don't, because everyone is willing to take care of them, because everyone wants to have sex with them. It's not valuable to them, right? Like they don't seem to like understand this. Like, I saw Nick the other day, like on this stream. Like he was talking about like how rare it is for a woman to like compliment a man. Like, oh man, do you know how many men would bend over backwards for a single compliment for a woman? How that would, from a woman, that would completely make their day. And I'm just sitting here thinking that like, well, I get complimented by women all the time. Like, if you're not getting complimented by women, that means you're not like that means you're not like interacting with them, or you're not like desirable, or there's nothing to compliment you on, really. Like that's kind of my views on that. Like it's like, who are these guys really? Like it feels like Nick and Drexel at this stage in their careers, they're propped up by a bunch of incels who have no interactions with women at all, and just kind of take like Drexel's word for everything. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. I haven't talked about Drexel at all because fuck Drexel. Okay, Drexel. Drexel is like going to clubs. He's like participating in orgies, and he's like wondering, oh man, guys, why are all the women sluts, bro? Like, go out and like have a normal interaction with a normal fucking person, okay? And see where that gets you, okay? Stop hanging around these super degenerate people and move on with your life. That's kind of my advice. Like, he wants to act like everyone is like this. No, everyone in your community is like this. All the women on Tinder are whores. Don't use Tinder. It's why I don't use Tinder or any social media app. Like, cause like the people who use them are narcissists. Like, doing stuff like in real life is a really good way to like connect with people who like share your values and stuff like that. And I don't really see people like Drexel or like the incel community really doing that, because they would rather just sit and bitch about women online. And that is getting really frustrating. It is that is something I really dislike, is just seeing incels just blame women for their problems instead of like actually doing something, like anything. Like, they'll try and tell you that like, oh man, I make this much money, and I don't, women don't even look my way. They'll like make all these like ridiculous assumptions. Like it's like they have a warped idea of like what the interactions of men and women are supposed to be like. It feels like they feel that like sex is like the end game for like every interaction. Like if they don't want to have sex with a woman, they just won't talk to her. That's that's kind of my, they don't they don't treat other people well. They don't treat other people like people. If the other person doesn't have like something to offer them, they just won't interact with them. It's strange in that way. They don't have normal relationships, and like they kind of blame everyone else for it. It's just kind of weird in that in that regard. I don't know how much longer is this going to go on before people like start calling it out? I can't be the only one. Just like I wasn't the only one talking about like Rekieta's lack of real legal credentials. Like, I know Ethan Ralph was talking about that. I know like some people have like Kiwi Farms were going after him. Oh, by the way, now that Kiwi Farms is down, one of Nick's biggest enablers outside of his circle jerk is gone. So that's another good thing. I I feel as if this feels like it's going to go on indefinitely, because none of these people seem willing to have like a moment of self-reflection and like really put in the effort or time to like change their lives. You know what I mean? Like it feels like this is just going to continue forever. It is a self-destructive cycle. They're not willing to change. They're not willing to reevaluate their opinions or their uh, or their uh, or their actions, right? Like I've seen Drexel try to justify his tendency to fuck thoughts. Like you spend so much time fucking thoughts and like bitching about them and like complaining, spending so much time doing that, and like all you have to do to make your life better is just don't do it. That's all you have to fucking do. Stop dealing with these thoughts. Like I don't, and I'm happier for it. I have, fulfilling. Uh, I have all these things I'm doing. A lot of things I'm really proud of. Like I don't base my worth on how much sex I'm having. You know what I mean? Like why would I ever do that? Like I honestly, in recent years, I've become kind of critical of people who do that. People like Drexel who think they're hot shit because they bang so many whores. Like, no, nobody cares. Like, I don't care. Like, you're gonna have to do a lot better to impress me. And like, these guys have done nothing. I think what it comes down to is that these guys will bitch about all these like alleged problems, but will offer essentially no solutions, right? Like, it's not even like a thing about women, obviously. Like I think it is based on how like the vast majority of people interact with them, like how their incel audience kind of behaves in the presence of a woman, right? Like I feel as if there is no like helping these people, honestly. Like I think that's what it comes down to is that like uh, they're just gonna keep making excuses forever, and it's very pathetic. It's very sad, but I hope that someday people will start calling them out on this kind of thing.